Live and in living color from the Arizona Professional Locksmiths Association studios. Andrew and Carrie and I bring you all this silliness. Which silliness should we talk about first? Well, first of all, I guess we should talk about our hearts going out to the families of all the officers in Dallas and all the repercussions around the nation from all of this asinine and insane
I think
shooting.
On both sides of this, the same with the two people that were murdered at the hands of the officers. I mean, there's a fine line of when they're protecting themselves, and there's a fine line of when they're over pushing their boundaries.
Well, absolutely. And when I was in my early 20s, I was a card-carrying, gun-toting security guard in California, and when I took the training, it was indoctrinated into me, you can utilize deadly force if, and only if, you have immediate fear of death or great bodily injury for you or for somebody around you. An employer, a family member, a trespasser on an employer's property. If somebody is coming in acting like a fool and is about to hurt somebody, yeah, you can blow them out of their socks. But, officer, I've got a carry permit. Let me get my ID out and summarily execute them for trying to get their ID out is not a good thing, and I don't care what color they are. It would just as easily be you or me.
Exactly.
And I haven't seen any videos or anything visual. I've heard a story about they had this guy cornered in Dallas, and they sent in a robot and ultimately caused an explosive on the robot to explode and kill the guy. Well, come on, guys. If you can send in a robot with an explosive, can you not send in a robot with a container of sedative and put them to sleep so you can come in and handcuff them while they're sleeping, and then haul them away for their presumably fair trial before their ultimate conviction and execution? Come on!
It's a 485-pound wheeled robot that is used for bomb disposal, actually.
Yeah.
Built by Northrop Gunman, Remote Tech. It's called the Andros. And yes, I totally agree with you. If this thing can walk in, if this thing can walk in with a grenade and blow itself up, why can't it walk in with something that is less lethal but would still put this person out? A flash grenade, anything to just stun him even. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, a flashbang would get his attention and subdue his senses or something, but, gee.
But I mean, with enough other people around there, you would think that they would be able to surround him. They had him cornered in the garage, like you said. He was in a deep corner of it, behind some vehicles and everything like that. So, I mean, if you get something enough to disrupt those senses, you should be able to get people in there who, again, have put their life on the line to serve the force and take this man down without, killing him, damaging a robot that cost, the citizens how much to build in the first place, and now it no longer exists,
And we have enough technology, chemically speaking, where we can anesthetize people with gases. There's no reason that they couldn't have been piping in anesthesia to knock him out and take him away for a trial. The whole let's summarily blow this guy up and execute him just because we're pretty sure he's the guy that killed the cops.
There's still a right, though, that we deserve court.
Yeah, exactly.
So CNN reports, why is this being reported as a big deal? The response from the author says it's the first time that a robotic system by police is deliberately used in a lethal manner. So, I mean, everybody is kind of concerned. You think about it. We all sat here back in the 90s and watched The Terminator with, Arnold Schwarzenegger and everything and went, oh, God, that'll be terrible the day that happens. And then the day that it does happen, we all brush it underneath the rug like it was nothing.
Well, it sounds like we're not brushing it under the rug.
Well, I think a lot of people are, though. I think only a handful of intellects are actually worried about what just happened. You know what I mean? If you go out and ask most people, they probably have no idea that this even went down. You know what I mean? Well, they know that there was a massacre in Dallas. They know that a robot was used, but they don't really put the two and two together and go, wait a minute, though. That's kind of the Terminator retrospect of this. If we're building AI and just use a robot that blew people up, like, where does this end? Where does this go? What does this evolve into? Those questions aren't being asked. It's, there's another massacre in Dallas and the guy's dead. We move on. Wait till the next massacre. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and for me, I came in and saw a little bit of it on TV, and then I went back out and did hours more work on the truck, and then I hear on the radio, and the suspect is dead, and I'm like, how in the world did that happen? We blew him up with a robot? Really? Oh, my goodness. Oh, why in the world would we do that? And, maybe there is something behind the story that would justify that we are simply not being told yet.
The only justification that I would say for that is if the guy had a bomb on him. If he had a bomb strapped to him, and they could prove that it was.
If he did,
right,
and it had a dead man trigger on it, it was going to go off anyway, and he was going to be dead anyway.
He had military training, I think, is what weighed into it. He did say that the city was rigged with bombs all over, which I think would also play into it. But again, at the time of all of that, the police were unaware of who this man was. We didn't have his identity until the day after that it all went down. Obviously being aware to the point that he was at a high vantage point and being able to take out officers with the precision that he was, you knew that there was some form of training involved there. That's not just an everyday thing at the gun range when you're shooting from a skyscraper into a narrow streetway.
Yeah, well, there is that.
So.
But if he had stopped shooting and was cornered and, there's
a lot of other things that play in. Again, the big thing on it is we understand that robots are used in the everyday, but now robots are being used for lethal forces. Okay, we all had issues, and Arizona still has issues with a robot delivering a speeding ticket to your mailbox. Well, now it can deliver your death sentence. When does it stop? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if that's exactly the way I want my law enforcement representing me is by using computer electronics in order to enforce laws.
Death sentences should be delivered expediently. I mean,
no, but via a robot, in the field, I don't know about that. So I don't disagree. Yeah, more than 3 people saw you do it, you go to the front of the line. I agree with Ron White on that one.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, sometimes some of the years and years and 20 years of appeals is just silly, but
we're wasting money, we're wasting resources, we're wasting everything in regards to a rapist, a murderer, or whatever it may be. Come on now. No.
And why aren't we sending one of these robotic things out after Ami Hanan?
We need to. Go find him. Maybe we teach these things how to open cars.
Well, I think his house is on that website. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. We shouldn't make those.
May or may not be his place.
Strikes again.
Yeah.
Well, every time.
I got a call from another locksmith friend the other day who sent me an email last night or this morning showing the picture of the Ford key that was superglued into a Chrysler shell that didn't have a chip in it, didn't have any electronics in it, and apparently the customer wasn't there at the time. Customer's credit card was charged $600-700 or something, and no receipt was left, and the key wouldn't operate the car. When the customer calls this so-called, I'm not even going to bless them with that word.
No.
Criminal. They were told, oh, you know what? There must be something wrong with your car now because your car doesn't want to start.
Something with the wiring is what it seemed like.
And he didn't say anything about, because I didn't put a chip in your key and I didn't program the car. I guess he left all that part out.
Or that it's not the right key for the car, even.
Well, the blade was apparently the correct blade.
The Ford blade, right? But then it was a Chrysler.
And if you threw a Ford chip into that head,
it would work. Okay.
And programmed it, it should work.
Sure.
Chip doesn't care what kind of head it's in.
Okay.
And we'll be right back after these announcements. Welcome back to the Locksmith Show, where we talk about locks and keys and answer any questions you might have about anything security related or any experiences you might have had. We're not oftentimes very religious on this show, but the Lord God did say, "Thou shalt not eat from the poisonous tree." So Andrew is going to talk about the forbidden fruit.
Yeah, it looks like we've got another invoice coming through here from our favorite people over there at Call Orange. I'm actually...
Call Purple.
There we go. Yeah, good old, air unlock and damage tool had to be used for an extra $140 to open up this person's vehicle.
What the heck does that mean?
So it came out...
Airbag plus damage? So you're telling me you're going to do damage to my vehicle and you're going to charge me $140 to do that?
No, but you're reliable for the damage that I have to pay for the insurance because there's airbags in your vehicle.
That's not $140 a month.
I don't think that's it.
What is it?
No, it's actually $140 a customer, not $140 a month.
No, I don't think that's it, though.
Okay.
I think they're saying we're going to use an airbag to wedge your door open that's going to bend your door and damage your door so that when we do that, if there's a claim that we have to pay, we have to pay for our insurance. But unless we actually get them, maybe we should call them and see can we get them to talk about it.
Probably
now,
not.
The funny part on this invoice that we do have is it says pay to company, and it says 24/7 Pro Locksmith. So it looks like Call Orange might be, or as we call them, the forbidden fruit, might be working for our good buddy Ami Hanan.
Or he's working for them.
Well, no, because it looks
they're
like
working for each other, but they don't. They're subcontractors of each other, and then the subcontractor of the other subcontractor of the other subcontractor. But then you have that subcontractor on the other side over there as well.
See, now he's going off swimming in Lake Silly. That one,
but that's what they say. And
don't forget about the call center, though.
Yeah, which is the other subcontractor of that call center subcontractor. It's just a big, deep hole of nonsense.
Yeah. Clearly. And obviously, there's something seriously deficient in our business model because they're making a hell of a lot more money than we are.
Well,
agreed.
Yep.
So, ladies and gentlemen, from this day forward, our minimum charge for anything is going to be $873.
And 98 cents.
Wait a minute. We can't do that, can we?
Can't do that.
Oh.
I really wish I could because I'd make a lot more money. But I can't. I can't do that. Our skills take a lot.
Well, you know
Our skills do take a lot, and we can charge for those skills.
We can do that. It's just that we won't.
Well, yeah.
And, that's the difference. We have some morality built in that says that we can't just rip people off in a highly obnoxious fashion. We just can profit a reasonable amount. They apparently don't care about the word reasonable.
Well, I think you have to profit in every business. I'm not saying that people shouldn't profit.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a fine line of profiting and price gouging. And somebody didn't turn off their phone.
I turned off one of them.
One of them. Forgot to turn off the Scottsdale phone.
I turned off one, and while we were on the air, of course, here's something with a 404 area code on it.
I just had one coming in, and that was forwarding over to the other one. But anyway... So, But price gouging to me, as a business owner and a locksmith professional, I've been doing this stuff a long time. It's no different than guys going, the tow truck guys that come over and steal their car out of the parking lot because they can.
Well, you see, and that's what I'm afraid of. Literally every city in the nation of any size has made municipal ordinances saying that on private property impounds, tow trucks can charge no more than X, and storage can be no more than Y dollars per day. And unless we get this whole locksmith scammer thing under control, the next thing that's going to happen is City of Phoenix or City of Baltimore or somebody is going to step in and say, okay, get the truck to the door can be no more than $30. Rekey a cylinder can be no more than $10. Shimming a cylinder open can be no more than $2.50. And the day that happens is the day I'm going to shoot myself or go back to shoe shining or something.
Well, then stick with automotive. I mean, that's automotive. They can't tell you what to charge because then they're going to have to start telling the dealers what to charge.
Well, they can.
But they're not going to. I really don't think they will.
I'm afraid that they may.
And I think you push that all the way to the highest Supreme Court, not just legislation. You fight the state against that one. So, or we quit doing what we do and you get a bunch of idiots out there running around thinking,
my vote is let the scammers do it and let's you and me just jump right into neurosurgery. I mean,
sometimes that's what we're having to do,
Yeah.
In some aspects of automotive, it takes a lot.
Well, no, that's actually more computer science, unless we're talking about the cyborg and the robots and
there you go.
And
your car is a
artificial
robot.
Intelligence, and
you talk to your car now. Do you know Google? You can turn on your phone flashlight now. Came out this week.
Did you know you can ride around in your Tesla car, watch movies, and get killed in the process?
Yeah. Or was it there? What was that other one we were talking about the other day? The Tesla car that drove into the wall.
I think that's what
There
Charlie's
wasn't a
kind of
wall.
talking about. It was the trailer.
The trailer, yeah.
The trailer
couldn't
cut
identify
in front of him.
Yeah, couldn't identify a moving semi-trailer, the side of the moving semi-trailer in front of it.
The trailer had Sky on it, and so the car identified it as Sky. And continued moving forward instead of seeing a trailer cutting in front of it.
So that tells us a little about their technology.
Their
technology is doing this optically.
Exactly.
When, like, jet engine aircraft are using radar. A vehicle I conceived of back in the 70s was going to use radar anti-collision to not run into things. So it sounds like if they're using optical and can't discern the difference between the picture of a sky and the sky, well, they need to have that optical backed up with something a little more sensible, like radar that can actually tell a distance to an object no matter what it's painted.
You're exactly on the right path. There's several sensory systems that are on it that it takes into account into the algorithm before it determines what exact motion it's going to take from there, either applying the brake, changing lanes, propelling forward, whatever it may be. Where it came down,
helicopter mode.
Where it came down was it actually failed. The optical failed to recognize that was sky. So it had said that everything was safe in the visual aspect of things, which therefore didn't throw off any other sensors to the other ones that don't have that kind of trajectory, So it was a programming error within that sensory, within the whole algorithm, yes. But I don't know. It also seems a little weird that the guy wasn't able to steer away from a telephone pole with over 100 yards of field to do it in.
But what you were saying is the programming and the optical, I'd be looking at it just the other way. You were saying or theorizing that optics said it was good, so let's keep going. My method of programming would be if optics say it's good, what's everybody else say? And if radar says, hey, optics, there's something 100 yards in front of us, we best stop now, then optics saying it's good should not stop radar from stopping the car. It should be a multiple input system where, like mission control, if you got one red light on that board, that space shuttle did not fly.
Right.
It's simple like that.
Where they failed at it was relying it on optics because they thought the optic system of the Tesla would be similar to the optic system of the human behind the wheel. So that person would be the last, the last alert of, wait, no, the car's not operating correctly. But it was a all systems failure, basically, is what happened. It didn't toss off the one flag, which resulted in this death. So
yeah, well, bet his family is going to take him to town over that one.
Oh, guaranteed. Insurance companies will make a lot of money.
And the family will make a lot of money. Wonder how Painter is doing. Maybe we could get some more insurance company stuff.
Yeah, maybe. Give him a call soon.
We'll be back after this. The KFNX call-in numbers are 602-277-5369 or toll-free 866-536-1100. Welcome back to the Locksmith Show, where we do encourage everyone to call in and ask any questions they might have about their car keys or house keys, or if you're safe. If you're having a hard time getting your safe open, like one call I got a couple of years ago, my safe is getting harder and harder to open. You have to dial the combination more and more and more. Don't lock it. Call us. Let us come out and fix it. Get it to where it opens first time every time again. What's on your plate today, Andrew?
I'm just looking at some more of these invoices. I find them funny.
Yeah, they are.
Let me go pull this Camry one up here. I'm reading this one. Ironically enough, this is 2 days before the guy. I got this lady called me,
and
this looks like our good friend who was in our video. It's the same handwriting.
The child.
Well, I don't know if he's a child. He's an adult, but the one that everybody calls a kid. He's 18 years old or over 18 years old. He's an adult. So, but
chronologically,
I don't understand the invoice. And then our favorite friend, Tony, is the manager again, who's been told that he's the manager a lot, but you can never get a hold of Tony. I've tried to call for Tony. Tony's never there. So he must be wherever Tony hangs out. But
Italy?
What's that?
Italy?
Maybe.
Maybe at the Fiat plant?
Making some pizza.
Fix it again, Tony car?
I don't know.
The Fiat plant?
Or Tony's Pizza. Freezer bake. Let me rotate this guy again. It had a really, really funny thing on here about the recessed door frames.
I liked that one.
What do you have to charge more for a recessed door frame?
I think I've got that on mine, don't I?
On your car?
On that big box outside.
It's going to be an extra $200 there,
It's going to be extra $200 to open that thing. But you could open it with the Slim Jim, but since you have refreshed door frames, you gotta do that. What car was this?
And the high security latch, right?
Yeah, another high security latch.
Mm-hmm.
Got power locks and power windows. That makes all the difference in the world, too.
Jeez. Sorry.
Those dang 04 Camrys are so hard to open.
These luxuries that come in the early 2000s, they cost so much more to unlock cars now.
Yep.
There was a legitimate reason to charge a lot more to open certain cars a few years ago.
Well, yeah, when you had to pick certain cars.
No.
Which one?
The Honda, the dreaded Honda latch disease.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you took that car to the dealer, their fix for the problem is cutting a big hole in the door with a hole saw so they could get in and extract the latch out of the car.
Yes.
So, yeah, the dreaded Honda latch disease is not something you want to encounter, but I think they may have fixed that.
Right, so there's that. But, I mean, I don't think most car manufacturers design their doors and go, you know what, we're going to make it to where this lock is impenetrable by any locksmith. You know what I mean?
Well, you could have, like, his was a mechanical issue with the latch that caused them to break like that. But I've had a couple of those come over before.
Yeah.
I've never drilled a hole in them, though.
Never used the hole saw on the outside of the door to extract the lock.
No. I did see a guy who was trying to open a Mercedes CLS, I want to say, and he called a locksmith out, and there was a video that the locksmith was filming of the guy taking a 1/2-inch hole saw to the back of his Mercedes underneath the license plate to try to
Manipulate the linkage.
To get into it. Yeah. I was just like, well, that's going to cost you a lot more than having that guy pick your trunk open. A lot more.
Well, I don't know why. You just take one of those 1/2-inch conduit buttons and pop that into the hole when you're done.
Oh, no. There was like 10 holes.
Oh, well.
It was the whole license plate. The license plate would cover it, but yeah, I'll have to dig up that video and I'll attach it into the Locksmith Show here too, so you guys can see that live on the YouTube channel. But yeah, it was. I just said, oh no, why? Just pay the $300 the guy wanted to get into it. Those picks aren't cheap, so and it takes skill to use them. So you're going to pay a guy to do that, and yeah, you might pay $300 to open the trunk of a Mercedes because it's going to take him a little bit of time to get it open, and it cost him a few $100s to get the tool to get into it. So, but that DeWalt and that 1/2-inch hole saw will do a whole heck of a lot of damage for you too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The only time that I have ever seen anybody drill anything into a car was actually that guy. We did a Beamer. A guy did that to his Beamer too. That was a while ago, but he had already drilled a hole into it, and I actually went in there and showed him. He's like, well, I saw this video, and I said, well, let me look at the hole you drilled. Oh, we have a caller.
Well, then, it looks like Lee from Reasonable. Hi, Lee. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going, Charlie? I hear the name Reasonable a lot today, so I decided it's a good day to call in.
Well,
But,
absolutely.
It's pretty interesting, too. I was on social media with Andrew. I don't know if you got a chance to tell you guys yet, but we had the 24/7 scammer hit this guy who was an officer last Sunday.
Oh, wow.
I was going to get to that in the next segment, but yes.
Did he get arrested for assaulting an officer?
No. What happened is I was on the phone with the officer. He called me. The guy didn't show up because he kept on making him wait and wait and wait. And then the officer told me his location, his address, and I hear him say to me, hold on a second. I don't know if I'm going to need you right now. The locksmith just pulled up. I first asked him, is his vehicle marked? No. Is he wearing a uniform? No. Then I asked him, okay, just make sure to ask him for identification and a business card. First I hear him ask him, do you have identification? It was, no. Do you have a business card on you? No. And what company you work for? 24/7 Locksmith. And then after that, I hear him say next thing, should I ask him anything else with the situation here? And I was like, ask him where he's from. And the guy goes, where are you from? He goes, Israel. He goes, could you please leave now? We got the situation under control. So I did go up to the location after he says canceled him and had me go up to the location, and his phone consecutively kept on ringing to the officer back that we're going to come out to you and we're going to help you. And then finally, I had the door open with a couple minutes for him, and the phone kept on ringing. I was like, if you want, we can call him back and let him know who you really are, that you are an officer. And then when he did tell him he's an officer, this girl answered the phone, and the girl sounded like your simple receptionist in any office. And then this guy gets the phone, and he says he's the boss. And he was like, no, the guy I sent out, was doing his job, and basically, I said, well, this officer was upset. Where you located? In a building. And what kind of building? Are you a locksmith? Yes, we serve the whole of the United States.
Wow.
And then it got to the point where the officer was just like, is this calling to me going to continue or discontinue? And he was like, no, we won't call you no more, because the whole time I was there, they kept on calling him again. We want to do service for you.
Did you by any chance get the caller ID info or any of that from the officer? Or?
From the officer, I just know it was an 800 number, and it was on top of the list from Google. He got my number underneath the other one, under the AdWords, where it was a 1-800 for 24/7 24/7 locksmith.
Is that the .us?
US, yes.
Yeah, that was the one that was doing the green bar scam.
Right.
And when I called them out here in Phoenix, they sent out the company called Call Orange that we were just talking about a little while ago.
Right. Yeah, because it's amazing because of all people, the officer himself was very sincere, and then when I ID'd him and everything on the scene, right away he introduced himself as an officer. But little did the other guy know when he told him to go home, and was very large gentleman, let me put it that way. He looked down at this little Israeli gentleman, and he kind of wanted to run off, and basically they're just trying to get somebody else out calling them and badgering him.
So did this officer give any indications of, did he maybe take down a plate number, or is he going to possibly professionally pursue this? Is this
I asked him to take a picture of the car, the guy, and his plate while he was on the phone with me. And he did.
Is this in one of the states that has licensing? These and other top stories.
In Westchester County, except for Yonkers, New York. New York City and Yonkers, New York is licensed at this time.
All right. Hang on just a minute. We'll pick this back up
Sure,
after the break. Welcome back to the Locksmith Show. We have Lee from Reasonable Locksmith with us, and you have a fairly extensive YouTube channel out there, right?
Oh, definitely. I've been working with Mike Bronzo in the beginning, with Tim McMillan from Aloha, back to day one when this first issue came out, and Tim introduced me to Mike, and we really started working some teamwork together. And then we had a task force for a while. Then Mike introduced me to you at that time, Charlie.
Yeah, it has been quite a long time.
And Mike says it's about 15 years. I don't know if that's been that long, but it could be.
Well, I think I started working on this in 08 or 09. And I do recall talking to Tim McMullen quite a few times. It's kind of sad that he ran off from Aloha and started working for some medical field kind of stuff. Last I talked to him. Funny part is, though, I think he's in the Southern California area, and Mike actually had his cell phone number, and I talked to him a few months ago. So
I can stay in contact with him on LinkedIn. I don't know if you ever get a chance, but he's a member on LinkedIn.
That's another one of those things I have little understanding of. To me, it seems very difficult to try to send somebody a message on that, or they want a lot of money or something. And
well, LinkedIn is usually almost like a Facebook type of setup for business professionals. So, it's if you go on the free services, you can get connections. Because Tim McMillan, I don't know if you knew this or not, but before Aloha, Tim worked with AARP. And then he went to Aloha to work with Aloha, and then he did leave Aloha. But what Tim did is he contacts his former contacts at AARP, and they did some articles on the locksmith scammers with AARP, some of his contacts.
Yeah, I actually put a copy of one of their things on one of my websites.
Right, and I just feel like, that anywhere we can hit it. But I would just wonder if there's some way I'm getting the resource where we're getting most of these people are calling these numbers are either Yelp or Google. If there's some way we could get some kind of disclaimer on be cautious on locksmiths you call and what you should be looking for somehow on Yelp and Google, that might be a step in the right direction. I don't know how, but we'd have to be creative about it.
Well, one of the big problems with both Yelp and Google is they acquire listings. I believe they acquired them from local.com. Local.com doesn't care a whit about accuracy in any way, shape, or form. And it got to the point where all the newspapers and TV stations around here were having a yellow page function on their websites that were so full of all these bogus phony address listings that I started calling these various stations and various newspapers and says, hey, do you really want me to expose you guys as promoting criminal activities in the state of Arizona with, these places that are using phony addresses? And when I went and clicked on some of the links I had a year or two later and started calling these places back, are you guys no longer using local.com and no longer having a yellow page? No, we made a business decision to get rid of all that. So, I'm thinking maybe I was a little bit responsible in helping them to see the light there. I think I'm on fairly good ground taking credit for a lot of listings being deleted out of our local phone book called Dex.
Well, back in the day, I don't know if you remember this, but a phone book, the Ambassador Yellow Pages, was owned by a company called Champion Locksmith.
Wow. Had no idea about that.
And Mike Bronzol told me this, and I spoke to the two owners, with Mike coming back and forth on the phone calls with me. The two owners, and they were telling me how honest they were, and I kept on calling back and forth. But Ambassador Yellow Pages was owned by Champion Locksmith, and the listings for Champion Locksmith and Ambassador Yellow Pages were quite fantastic, if you know what I mean.
Now, where were they located?
New York City.
Because I did for a while work for a company called Champion Locksmith, and I know the owner of that company in New Orleans, and I know that he's no longer doing the locksmith thing because he got caught with way too much pot in his vehicle and is doing something like 27 years in prison.
Well, they were
in
nationwide,
Louisiana.
Charlie.
Well, no, Bo was
and,
independent. He was fiercely independent.
What they did is they were doing subcontracting. That's where Mike originally found them, and they were subcontracting. And the one guy's first name I can give you, I don't want to give his last name at this point, it was Paul, and he was subcontracting nationwide, besides the regular locations, plus taking people into New York City. So Mike found this out in Chicago and traced this all down. Mike put a lot of late hours. I did, and then yourself, as Mike was said, we had the lights burning late a lot of nights, but Mike pulled this all out. And then I spoke to the two, a guy named Bradley, I don't want to say his last name, and the other one is Paul. Okay, well, you said it, not me. But,
you know what? I'm not afraid of naming names, and I think he comes up as a co-owner with a company that I do business with today, and everybody says this company that I've been doing business with is a national service provider for the last 15 years. They keep telling me this company, Academy over in Anaheim, is a scammer, and I keep telling them, hey, they don't do any advertising. They go to conventions for retailers, and they send me out to do all these commercial jobs in the malls, and they pay what I ask them to pay. And if they're not misleading consumers as to what they're charging, and if they're not making phony addresses appear all over the place, how are they a scammer? And when I talk to Tim over there, he tells me that he has not actually talked to Mr. Bradley in I think he said 10 or 15 or maybe 20 years.
Wow.
So I know there's no connection between those guys anymore.
Right, because they called me actually to do a job like in my area, and I was I was going to take the job. I was like, no, I'm too busy right now. And then they try to use Tom Lynch's name. So I was like, Tom Lynch, real nice guy. And they said, well, if you want to verify how good we are in our company down here, talk to Tom Lynch. And Tom, Tom is honest Tom,
Well, if you want to talk about Academy, you can talk to me, and I'll tell anybody listening, if Academy calls you and wants you to go do commercial jobs for them, I would go ahead and do it. They were my bread and butter. If it hadn't have been for them, I would have filed bankruptcy and lost my house probably a couple of years before I did. And I did jobs for them as recently as yesterday. I don't have any to do today. Now,
but this other company
I will say
really
that,
was
I will say that they might be, 30 days. They might be 60 days. It might take a little while to get paid, but that's, standard operating procedure in the NSP industry.
We do have another caller, and we have 2 minutes left in the show.
Okay.
Let's take this other caller on.
Jay from Peoria, say hello. Join the conversation.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, how you doing, Charlie?
I'm getting by. What's going on?
Not bad. I just want to towards the first part of the first segment of your show. I sure appreciate the guy doing what he had to do in Texas of taking out those 5 officers. Too bad them other 7 survived. But
think we lost you, Jay.
Yeah, we're losing audio here. I don't know if he's having a bad cell site or what's going on. If you can call us back from a landline, that might be better than a cell phone.
We got about a minute. One thing I want to bring up to all the locksmiths out there, we all need to start banding together. We all have great ideas. I think more and more, whether it's Aloha, Sopal, or just guys getting together and talking locally first.
Or
building an association that's better than what we have. That's my ultimate goal.
Or the Arizona Professional Locksmith Association.
Well, that's the local one here. Yeah, exactly.
But even there, we all still need to work better to make sure that it further progresses than what it is right now.
Absolutely. We got to get this mess fixed. Y'all have a lovely weekend. I'm going to Tucson for a week. Hopefully we'll be back next week in time for the show, and have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, guys. If you like my YouTube channel, please subscribe below. It's over here. I don't know. It's somewhere, anywhere. It's wherever they like to put it. I don't know. But thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. Tell your friends. Share my videos. If you have any questions, email me, andrewslockandkeyaz@gmail.com, or don't hesitate to pick up the phone. I answer my phone all the time. 480-437-4022. Thank you, and have a great day.